Welcome to Johnny Works. We're here in my garage. I've got the TrackSmart Vertical Standard Shelf System. All right, so this is my plywooded wall. I'm going to use these deck screws right here to screw these things into the wall to secure them. And these are the brackets. They're 18 inches deep. They're black, they're beautiful, ready to go. So I find my stud, take my level, I level up a line to make sure that I hit the stud, even though I can see all my screw holes, because that is plywood on the wall. It's actually OSB plywood. So I make a line, I'm going to grab that rail, and now I'm going to use those deck screws to secure it. I got my one with the deck screws, because they were long enough for a 2.5 inch, so I can go through that thing, the thing's about a 1/2 inch, and then through the plywood, which is also a 1/2 inch, and then into the stud. So anyway, hit every hole, don't skip any, because you're going to be putting these brackets on, and you're going to load them up with a bunch of crap, and you don't want them to pull off the wall. So, and here's my wife pulling in the car, ruining my video. Just kidding. Anyway, didn't ruin nothing. So I'm hooking on the end of that thing, and I'm pulling 8 feet. That should be the center of my other stud. And now I'll do the same thing. Repeat. Put my level up, make a mark. Grab that vertical rail, put it on, screw it in, blah, 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 on and on and on. All right, here I am counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then I put an 8-foot stud that I just happen to have there. Put it up, make sure it lands, which it did. My plywood is 8 feet too, so when I cut the pieces of plywood, they'll land on these brackets. Okay, and then now I'm just marking my studs. Okay, it ended up being at 16 on center. We framed it, so that would be 16. The next one was 32. The next one was 64. So on, so on. So, oh my God, yep, it's a magnet level. It's magnetic. Genius. All right, so here it is. Putting my 4th one on. Same thing I've been doing the whole time. I don't know if you're not paying attention, but you know, that's what I'm doing. All right, yeah, I know. 5'6", I get it. It's pretty tall though. I'm gonna give it the wall's in there 10 feet, so I got a lot of storage to go. And then here I am checking with my stud, just making sure, getting the proper height. I can also check with that level, but that level is 6'6". It's not 8 feet long, so it doesn't really reach all the way. If you're going to use plywood for shelves, it comes in 8-foot lengths. Sheets of plywood are in 8-foot lengths, all right? You can buy shelving. Maybe you can get them in 10, 12, whatever. I don't know. You can get longer lengths. I'm going to use plywood, more efficient. I can get a 4x8 sheet of plywood, CVX, and different kinds of plywood. For this, cheaper the better. Okay? I'm going to go with 3/4 inch thick, because I want to be able to put some weight on it, all right? Obviously, I'm just using these 2x to gauge how far apart and the height, okay? I'm going to put my level on and make sure it's level, okay? But you can tell it's pretty good. So, right now I just have it set for these, all right? I have a different shelving unit over there that I made a video of where you slide these things in. So, I may go a little higher, but the good thing with these is they're adjustable, okay? This holds all the way up in increments of like 1 inch. You can go all the way up. So depending on what I'm putting on the shelf, I can do that, okay? The brackets I spaced apart. I went with the studs on layout. So I plywooded this wall, okay, so I can see where all the screws are. If it was drywall, all right, I would have to find the nails. I could either use a magnet to find a screw. The screw had a strong magnet, or I could use the stud detector and try to run that thing across and find a stud. And then once I find one, pull a layout, maybe tap a little nail, see where my studs are. Once I know where the layout is, then I can screw my verticals, my uprights, okay? I don't recommend going more than 32, okay? This is 32 right here. This would be 16, because the layout's 16 on center. This would be like 32 inches on center. If you really want to add one, you can, if it's a lot of weight, but if not, that would be the max. I wouldn't go 4 feet. If you put heavy stuff on 4-foot shelf brackets apart, it's gonna sag over time, okay? This thing will sag depending on how much weight you have on it. So 32 is what I'm doing. I know the layout because we built this thing. That's what I'm going with, all right? So rinse and repeat. Best part, I have a bunch of these and I can set them up however I want. And if I decide to put something different up, I can make them smaller and fit more crap, or I can make the openings bigger and fit less crap, but big crap. Alright, so if you've never hung shelves up before and you had brackets like this, or any kind of brackets, usually there's a hole. This one actually has a couple. There's one here, one here, one here. You put your plywood on or your shelving, and you put a little screw, make sure it's not too big that it sticks up and blows through your plywood or whatever your shelf is. Make sure you get the right size screw. You put your plywood here and you screw up into it. Just a little bit to hold this thing. So you take stuff off, it doesn't fall off with you, or it doesn't slide. If you're putting something on the slide and the plywood don't fall off. Okay, so a little. Alright, so here I am putting on my Craig Rip Cutter. This thing fits right on your saw, okay? And then there's going to be a side rail, which you'll see in a second, that slides through, and you can slide that thing back and forth, and the edge to my left, past my tattoo arm there, that thing goes alongside the plywood, and you just spread it out, and there's numbers across that, how far of a rip you want. I went with 18 inches, so here goes my 18-inch rip. Goes pretty quick, and voila, one rip. Now I'm gonna get on the other side. I'm ripping the other side, and here's my ode to Sha'Carri Richardson slow motion hair flip that you might not have seen if I didn't slow it down. I flipped all my hair right off my head when I did that. Anyway, so here's my 8-foot sheet. Look at that, perfect. So if you notice, there's the distance between the brackets is a little different right on the end, because I went with a full 8-foot piece, and then I'm going to leave a gap of like, I don't know, it's like a foot or something. I'm going to leave that open because there's an outlet there, and then I'm going to continue with like a 6-foot section before I get to the door down at the end there. So I'm adding screws at the front, and if you notice, the brackets taper and they get bigger as you go down. So the front screws are, I think, they're 1.5 inches. You go to the next hole. I was using like a 2.5, and then the last hole in the end, oop, almost fell off. Last hole in the end, I had to go with 3.5-inch screws to go through that thing and up into my plywood to make sure that it catches. That way when you're putting stuff up, it doesn't fall off the plywood doesn't fall off the thing. Make sure you hit every screw. I recommend it. You want these things moving around, it sturdies them up. Look at that. Beautiful section. Can fit my bins. If I just, see, I was kidding. Nothing in there. It's empty. Anyway, you can adjust all these things. Move them all up, make them smaller, make them bigger, whatever you want. All 3 nails, just like I'm saying. Don't skimp. Hit them all. And here's the finished product. Less paint. If I feel adventurous, I'll paint these things, or at least seal them up. For now, they're going to sit just like that. I'm going to throw a bunch of crap on there that's in my house, in my barn. Thanks for watching Johnny Works. Please like and subscribe.